They're the same! A few years ago, a book-obsessed girl's mother said,
"You know, pretty soon they'll stop printing books altogether and the world will be overtaken by Kindles."
This girl, terrified by the prospect, took to Amazon to buy a physical copy of all her favorite books. The result? A bookshelf filled with the best books ever written, most of which without a single crack in the backing. Unacceptable? Absolutely. Thus begins a year-long mission to read and review every single one in alphabetical order. Is she crazy? Probably. This is the Favorite Book Project 2015.
Welcome to my book review of Anne of Green Gables by Lucy Maud Montgomery. Quite a name. There are 6 different books that she wrote about Anne of Green Gables, so obviously she loved them. And then she wrote 3 books about Anne's children and 2 books that just take place in the setting of Avonlea. It's very nice to see an author who understands the importance of keeping her sequels in her setting. Anne of Green Gables is extremely popular. It's been made into 3 different movies, my favorite of which is the 1985 movie that was actually filmed in Canada, I believe. It's just very well done. The characters are spot on. A lot of the dialogue is taken directly from the book, and also they filmed it obviously over a period of time so that you can see Anne grow up. And it's very well done. And I really enjoy that movie. There's also been lots and lots of TV adaptations, as they made Anne of Green Gables into a Japanese anime, so, you know, I guess she just has a wide appeal. Now, some of you guys are going to remember my last book review of Tom Sawyer, and Anne could be said to be the female version of Tom, basically. First of all, she's an orphan. She goes and lives with kind of an eccentric older couple, and then she is living in this town that's kind of big but kind of small. It's got a lot of eccentric characters, but they're not overly cliched. She has a best friend who she gets in a lot of trouble with her imagination, and then she has like this romance that's kind of, is it a romance? Is it not a romance? It's kind of torturous for all involved. And there's even a like small side paragraph about children's cures for warts. Like, what is there not to love? 5 out of 5 stars! No, it's not actually that simple. You see, the books that I give 5 out of 5, those are my I would carry with me through the zombie apocalypse books. Like, they have to be super good. If I have to shoot my way out of here someday, those are the books that I'm gonna try to take with me. I'm warning you, zombie Olivia de Havilland, stay away from me and my books, or I'll shoot! There are things about Anne of Green Gables that it doesn't quite reach that level for me, and so I'm going to tell you why. My first problem with this book is probably not going to be a problem for everyone. Let me just get that out of the way. I like realistic things. I like to be able to imagine this in the real world setting, if it takes place in the real world. So, Anne of Green Gables takes place in a town of Avonlea on Prince Edward Island in Canada on Earth, okay? But, as beautiful as Canada is, I do not believe that this place could ever possibly exist in the known universe, okay? Every time they describe, and they describe often, the nature outside, okay? I'm looking out my window. Every time they describe the nature outside, it's beautiful. It is the most glorious thing ever. The colors are so bright, and everything is sparkling, and there's like little rabbits jumping past, and like birds are flying all around. It's just gorgeous. Everything is gorgeous. There's never, like, brown, soggy leaves on the ground. It never rains. Oh my gosh, it never rains. Unless there was one time there was a storm, I think. And then there's never, like, worms that come out of the ground stupidly after a storm and, like, get fried on the sidewalk. That just never happens. There's never anything gross or disgusting. It's all pure and beautiful. And that could be said of the characters, too. And that's not as bad. But when it's just driven into your head with this amazing setting that's not possible. It got on my nerves. It took me out of the book and made me feel, I don't know, it didn't feel right to me. The next thing I think could be pretty universal, and it's pretty easy to explain. It goes something like this. Wow! Look at this book! I really like this book! I wonder if it could be important someday! Oh my gosh, look at this book! Woo! Woo! Book! So yeah, there's several times in the story where Lucy does this thing where it's like she suddenly remembers there's something important in the book that she needs to describe, or else she's going to, like, not be able to put it in the book. So she, like, the paragraph before the thing becomes important, she's like, oh, just so you know, there's this thing, and this thing is really important to this character, and just so you know, yeah, you haven't heard about it before, but this is really important. Yeah! Again, it took me out of the book. It made me like, oh, why? Why didn't you mention that before? Would have been so much easier then. So that's two negatives. Let's talk about something this book does really, really, really well. That would be dialogue. The majority of the book is dialogue, so that's good. It's the best thing in the book. It's mostly Anne speaking, because Anne does a lot of talking. And the great thing about her is her dialogue feels very inspired. It's witty, it's funny, it just makes you smile. Like, there's so much done. I also really like Marilla. Marilla is the, like, her guardian, and a lot of the, like, snooty kind of comments that she makes towards Anne, like, she's kind of passive-aggressive, but in a nice way, like, and so the describing of her feelings, and also in tandem with her dialogue, just makes her a very well-rounded character. A lot of the characters are very well-rounded, but it's all done through the power of dialogue, which I think is really, really smart. So, in conclusion, this book is sweet, it's cute, it's got kind of this spectral glow of purity about it. Like, it's very nice and pleasant to read. I don't know, it'll make you kind of feel like you're in this perfect kind of place. And that's, a lot of people will probably like that more than I do. So I would definitely suggest reading it if you're into that kind of thing, and if you liked Tom Sawyer, maybe you'll like a girl version of Tom Sawyer too. So that's it. I hope that you read it, and tell me what you think if you do. For this week's talking points, I want to take a poll. Who wants to marry Gil Blythe, and who wants to marry Anne Shirley? Leave your comments down below if you want to marry Anne or if you want to marry Gil. I want to know why too. Go into detail. Tell me. I, personally, Gil, I don't know. Definitely not in this book, I don't think. I mean, he's nice, but he's also kind of a player.